Hey everyone, welcome to Bookends of Recovery, where recovery gets real and loved ones aren't left out. I'm Laura, and I've lived it. I've used, I've healed, and I have loved someone through it. Today we are talking about laughing while healing. Why humor has a place in our recovery and healing. Okay, get ready for a big shocker. Ready? Brace yourselves. Healing and recovery are hard. I know, big shocker. And if you're here, I'm guessing you already know that, and you're probably hoping for something that makes it seem, I don't know, less sucky. But if you have visited me before, either, podcast, blog, Reddit, whatever, um, you know that I love to laugh. My humor can be pretty snarky, but and sarcastic, but it's been something that I have relied on while I was healing after the disclosure of my husband's pornography addiction, after the death of, my first husband and then my dad just a few short months later. So, yes, humor has been a saving grace for me. Um, I'm curious if it's also been a saving grace for any of you. Because if so, you are not alone. A lot of us in recovery and healing use humor to help us get through some of the toughest challenges, and it's the reason we're still here. I want to make one thing clear. It's not about making light of serious struggles. It's about making room to breathe in the middle of them. Humor isn't, you know, minimizing our trauma. My New York accent got a little crazy there. It's not weaponized sarcasm or hiding behind "I'm just joking" mask. We've all been there, right? And it's not putting on a smile so people will stop asking if we're okay. Humor in healing is the quiet, weird little giggle that you get after, you've just cried your eyes out. It's the, oh my God, did I just say that in group moment, and you're just finding yourself not just in tears, but in your laugh lines too, and embracing that and just being able to love all of that too. And there is actual science to it because humor resets the nervous system. It literally shifts your body out of fight, flight, freeze, and fawn mode, and it puts you into a regulated state. One good laugh can soften stress in ways that even my beloved deep breathing sometimes can't do. And that's why I'm constantly saying, you know, watch a comedy, watch, some videos of puppies and kittens because they're going to make you laugh. You want that laughter because it also builds resilience. If you can laugh with your pain and not at it, then you've taken some of your power back. That's healing in motion. And it also connects us. That shared laugh creates trust, it creates emotional safety, especially in a group therapy setting or support meetings, even during, those heart to hearts with loved ones and accountability partners. we're looking for those precious moments of connection, because when we're in active addiction, or we're, you know, being hyper vigilant and snooping and doing all that, we're isolating. And that is the opposite of connection. It also gives us some perspective, because sometimes that tiny flash of absurdity is the only thing standing between you and just being completely overwhelmed. So when we can find humor in a situation, it can help ground us and, just bring us to the present. So I'll share I'll share one of my favorite, I just had to keep, or I had to laugh to keep from crying or just completely fall apart moments. It was when I moved after my first husband passed away. This is like way before smartphones and Zillow and all that kind of stuff. Back in my day, uh, we relied on what we were told. Like, you call up, they're like, "Yeah, it looks great," and like, "Okay, cool." Um, yeah. So what I was told isn't quite what I got. Not even close. I was moving back home to New York. So I was told my new home was described as a cute little converted cottage. Yeah, no. It was it was an illegally converted garage, complete with the garage door still intact. So the city wouldn't suspect that someone lived there. And I had just packed my kids and my Doberman and moved across the country into a small 2-car garage. But hey, it had a kitchenette and a shower and a toilet and room for my couch and 2 beds. Yeah, so needless to say, we didn't stay there long. But my humor, it not only helped me through that time, it also helped my kids, because it became an adventure for us, because I mean, they were so young that they barely remember even living there. Uh and while we were there, we just had fun making it a home and just turning it into more of a positive than a negative. And I mean, in actuality, it was way better than the trap house that I lived in before they were born. So there was that. And I just have to say, shout out to my dad for showing me how important a good sense of humor is, especially in times of stress and in crisis. So I could pass that on to my children, because they definitely have that sense of humor. My brother also does. There are just more stories I could tell, but you're not here for that. But anyway, let's highlight a few ways that humor can support your mental health. So, um, a great way for you to have that in your back pocket, literally, is have some funny and safe podcasts or YouTube videos on standby. So if you have something that you listen to that gives you just a little chuckle, you can turn to it during like that mental health dip. Laughter therapy is a thing. I get it. You're tired of me saying puppies and kittens, puppies and kittens. So instead, I'll recommend something different. if if you're a fan of Bravo, you know, I recommend Watch What Crappens podcast. Okay? It's with Ben and Ronnie. I love them dearly, but if you're not a fan of Bravo, you know what? Even if you aren't, listen to Ben and Ronnie at Watch What Crappens. They're hilarious. Okay, that's enough. But if that's not your jam, then I recommend listening to Conan's podcast. He is hilarious. Smartless, they're hilarious. But if you're looking for something recovery related, one of my favorite is Tom B's talk on emotional sobriety. Now, it is old, like real old. I don't even know when it's from, uh, but it feels like it's from 100 years ago. Okay, it's not from 100 years ago, but it's pretty old. But and yes, it's from 12 Steps, and I get that some people may not be into that, but I am telling you, this is hands down one of the best talks that you are going to hear. If you do listen to it, I genuinely would love to hear what you think because it changed how I looked at my own healing and recovery. By then, I was on my way out of attending 12 step meetings. And so I was so impacted by this one talk. I nodded through it. I laughed through it. I still listen to it. I don't go to 12 step meetings anymore. Nothing against 12 steps. I just kind of moved on to different things. But his talk was really just pivotal to me, to my husband, and to other people that I've recommended it to. So, yeah, not just for 12 steppers. Anywho, something else about humor is when you're able to have just inside jokes between people who are going through recovery alongside you or people who are healing alongside you. Just those, you know, those jokes that you can look at someone and just kind of like nod and snort your, laugh. Like, yep, totally get it. There are just so many that we had in group, in um even in some of the support groups that I led. They all just could say something that happened, a few weeks before, and everyone would be like, "Oh yeah," and just laugh. It really bonds you with people who understand what you've been through. And when you see them week after week, you learn how to laugh even during your most challenging times, through some of the toughest things. And that's why, like I said, I don't understand why we used to see it depicted, in 12 step meetings where everyone was just so bummed out and, drinking their coffee and smoking their cigarettes, wah wah. And it's not like that anymore. Of course, there's going to be those times when a meeting is going to be pretty dark and they're going to be sharing some serious stuff. But then, of course, there's those times when people are just going to laugh over their dumbassery because some of us in recovery can be dumbasses,